All right, should be up and running here. Should be live, should be able to hear me, should be able to see charts. All right, we'll be going over the market, going over today's plays. So let's go ahead and get started. Good afternoon, this is Ifan from the Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for September 17th, 2021. We got about 2 minutes until it close, so we'll see what the final closing price is going to be for the Qs and SPY. Coming into today, we were bullish on the Qs and IWM, and then more neutral on the SPY because the SPY had not taken out the pivot on the hourly, right? So it got pretty close there. We're saying, you know, equal high, didn't take it out. Okay, so SPY kind of the weakest of the bunch. But what we got today was a complete reversal of yesterday's move up. Okay, and what we said is that, okay, how do we know if we're going to be bullish? Whenever we are bullish or bearish, we have to have some kind of condition where we change that, right? What would have to happen for us to change that bias? And for us on the Qs is if we take out yesterday's low, we'll probably take out the lows from the previous day because it'll be the negation of that rally and the failure of the bullish pattern, the failure of the buy setup that we had in place here, retracement. And then we, after a series of lower highs and an uptrend, we take it out. But then today we failed on it. So we were coming into today bullish, but we quickly negated that bullish bias. Okay, so that sets us up for Monday to be bearish. Now the SPY never really took it out in the first place, so the SPY is more just continuing, okay, the hourly downtrend. The one that's kind of the hardest to figure out is the IWM, because the IWM daily buy setup is still in place. Okay, still in place for now. Okay, so that's the one's kind of the most curious. A little bit more neutral on the IWM going into Monday. You know, it really should have held a little bit if it was going to be bullish on the hourly, start the uptrend on the hourly. Would have liked to have seen it hold a little bit better, but it's still, you know, holding. So I think this one seems to be doing something a little bit different than the Qs and SPY. So we'll see how that resolves itself on Monday, but Qs and SPY, I'm bearish. Okay, and that's the closing bell. All right. So Qs and SPY, I'm bearish. IWM neutral. We'll see kind of who kind of wins out on Monday. All right, but yeah, we were bullish coming into today, and then right off the bat, Qs said, you know, let's do what we got to do to switch that bias around. So yeah, a little bit of sloppiness, some engulfing bars here, so you can see kind of the choppiness that the market's been doing, but definitely weakening. Okay, and a weak close for the week. All right, on the Qs. All right, let's go over today's plays. We're gonna focus on the few plays that I thought were the ones to focus on today, and talk about management. Okay, so starting with the PTGX. We'll start with the PTGX. Look at this gap. Anybody who's been in this and held at any point until yesterday is now underwater. Okay, making new all-time lows today. So very big gap, leaving behind a lot of price action. Unfortunately, this was a little bit spready. Okay, so I didn't end up playing this one, but I think it was one that was on the favorites list, was a really nice gap. Did have some entries, but you can kind of see how sloppy it was in the morning. What I wrote down for the morning was about $1 stop. I think it was about 1950 by 2050. Big stop, big spread. But even that, 1950, okay, by 2050, you get basically 4 Rs on it, okay? Now, if you're in this thing, you know, how would you manage this? When you get to, for me personally, when I get to about 2 Rs, I definitely want to be out most of the play at that point. And then I want to be done around, if it gets to 3+. So once it surpasses 3 Rs, that's when I'm really looking to protect the whole thing. Okay? A lot of people have different ways to manage too. 15-minute bar by bar. A lot of people start this as well once the play is moving and getting going. That would have been perfect for this play. to get you out pretty close to the bottom. I also on the runners like to do hourly bar by bar. I don't think on this one, yeah, that management doesn't do all that well. There's not going to be a one size fits all management. So you kind of have to just go with what you can be the most consistent with. Okay. So this one I did not catch in the morning. I decided to pass on it because of the spread. So this one I didn't have that challenge of how to manage it. Okay. But really nice gap, really nice play. SDC, okay, I did play. SDC I did play. Okay, and if you were in the room, you know I tried to call this as well. Okay, so gapping up, you know, into some resistance, but I thought, you know, we can get a run up, showing a lot of relative strength this morning. I just want to see, you know, how much, if the bottom is in, maybe on this SDC, how much we can of a run up we can get. The challenging thing about this was the sloppiness. Okay, so when I called it in the morning, let me go ahead and remove that. That's the play that I ended up playing. But when I called it in the morning, I was anticipating a sort of a 1 minute to resume back higher, 2 minute kind of breakout. So here was what I was calling basically this to be the play right here. Okay, so 20 MA catching up, stop underneath that entry as soon as it takes out that lower high, and we're back up to an uptrend. Okay, so I canceled it and then it reversed right back up. Now probably should have been a little bit more patient on calling it or whatever, but you know, I'm trying to get it and make sure I don't miss it, and it went right back up. So at this point, I don't really like the way that it triggers, right? Because it's going from the stop to the entry. So that's multiple bars up. So I wasn't in it at this point. I had already canceled the official play because it took out what I was hoping would be the stop, which was maybe a higher low, takes out this lower high, and you know, we're back into a confirmed uptrend. So what ended up happening was being a play like this. Okay. All right, so it ended up being a play like that. All right, so this one got off to a decent start. I took some on the move up because we had over an R in it, but I took, because it wasn't up to 2 Rs. Once we get past 2 Rs, I want to be out most of it. If it's only up like an R a little bit, I try to take like a quarter or a third, just less than half. So this actually came all the way back down. So, you know, it looked great. And that's why we take some. That's why we take some of the targets. It looked fine and then kind of fell apart after that, right? Hard to see that coming. Definitely some resistance there on the daily, so that's fine. That's why that was target 1, but I was hoping that this would have more follow through to it. And so that ended up failing on the SDC. Okay, so of course the hope is that, you know, we're going to keep on going. You know, one of these uptrends, I don't know, like something, you know, like the surf this afternoon. Okay, of course, on the surf, look at that surf, right? You try to manage, try to stick with the ones that are going to go. There's resistance on the left on the surf as well, right? So some of these, when they get the momentum, are just going to keep on going. And, you know, all the ones that we play, look at that volume there on the SDC. You know, these are the days where they have that potential to have the big day. Look at the surf. And you're going to see this stuff, you know, right at the open. You're going to see that, okay, this bar, after the first 5 minutes, it was already like near the average, right? Because this thing's probably going to end up doing, I don't know, 9 or 10 times its average. Sometimes these things do plenty more than that. So, you know, so you do your best, you know, that's the thing. You try to hold with it, hold plays, and some you're going to give back, you know, and so if you're focused on the right things, though, you're focused on the things that are moving. Here's the TCRR. James and Sammy both had plays on it, and I just managed it the way that I manage my plays. They have their own management as well, but hourly bar by bar keeps you until end of day. Now, it wasn't easy because you know, I think James locked it in as a winner earlier on, and so, you know, of course I was on the mic when this thing was actually turning negative because it was in it from the first break of 11 in the morning here, the first break of 11, and then, you know, it was kicking back. And so because it never got to my target, and I knew, you know, I'm going to have to wait until I get some kind of bar to finish forming. You even heard me say it, right, when I was on the mic. I was like, yeah, I'm still in this TCRR, still waiting. I'm going to have to wait until this bar finishes forming, and then I'll get to maybe lower the trail. We'll see, right? And so I think, you know, the key thing is to try and do some kind of management that will that you can do consistently. It doesn't have to be the best one. And of course, there's not going to be one management that's going to, be the best for every trade. But you just want to try to be consistent. Now, some people like to do, oh, I'm going to do a different management for every trade because every symbol requires a different management. I mean, it's true, but that is a lot of pressure on you to kind of make the right call, each and every time. And also, obviously, if you're managing multiple plays at once, that also makes it that much more challenging, right? What was my plan to do on this one? What was my plan to do on this one? So, I mean, I don't expect anybody really to do 100% month after month. They stick to their plan, but you want to be pretty close, okay? Because the worst is when, you say, okay, well, I think on the TCRR, I'm not feeling it that much, so I'm going to get out early. I'm going to get out and take it all on the first break of the lows. Okay, and then, you miss out on another 50 cents. And then you say, well, the SDC I'm feeling pretty good about. I'm going to hold this one. This is going to be the one that holds, and then you give it all back, right? Or the PTGX, okay, I think that's all it's going to drop. I just want to, have a quick target on this, right? Then how are you going to feel when it's dollars and dollars per share later, much, much lower, right? So you just want to try to do something consistent. Otherwise, it's just a lot of pressure on us as a trader to, have a new style, make it up as you go for each and every trade and make it different. Okay, thinking that here's my finesse gonna really come through and make sure I make the most out of each and every trade. Of course, we all want to do that, but that's just very short-sighted, and it's going to be hard to not get frustrated over time, because it's just to expect you're going to make it up as you go and trade every trade and have a perfect exit on every single one is basically setting yourself up for frustration, right? So yeah, so that's what we looked at a couple examples here. PTGX works really, really well. If you did try to hold all day, the hourly trail, not that great, but still gets you a good amount, right? At least $2 in the money on a $1 stop. That's not too bad. But like I said, this thing went 4 hours. And so once something for me goes past 3 hours, I'm really looking to close the whole thing. Okay. So that's, PTX. You're going to have some which work really well, and then you're going to give some of it back, but you trail out okay. You're going to have some that get going nicely at first, but then the whole thing kind of comes all the way back down. We saw that yesterday on the IO. And then you're going to have some that you stick with all day, and you didn't really have to do much. You just kind of trailed as you went, and it just keeps on going, and then you close at end of day and you got near the most that you could have gotten out of it, right? So there's going to be all these different scenarios, and so it's a big challenge to say, well, I'm going to do everyone differently, and I'm going to know which ones are going to give back, and I know which ones are going to go all day, right? So generally what I try to do, especially because every trade that I'm playing, I'm looking for the gap with the volume that have the momentum, the ones that are already more likely to have big moves and go all day, right? And I'm just trading them all, managing them all the same, okay? Because that's what I'm comfortable with, right? That's what I know I can do consistently. And then stuff like the SDC, which, was nice, but then ended up kind of giving some back and being a partial loss. I can brush those off. Some people, maybe, that situation is a lot harder for them to deal with, but it's because I know for every one of these SDCs that, ends up a partial loss, TCR is going to make, a couple Rs, 3 Rs, PTGX, which I didn't catch, but went 4 Rs, so those will more than make up for it, right? All right. So, just wanted to talk a little bit about that on management, just because, had to deal with some different things, and that's pretty normal most days and most weeks. You're just going to have all sorts of different, stocks act a different way, but you want to try to be as consistent with your management as you can. Okay. All right, guys, have a good weekend. I will talk to you on Monday.